Well, what do you want me to say? Like, a win is a win, like I said the other day, but listen, we looked the part. Texas came out, showed who they were. We looked the part. We looked good. We looked solid. We looked consistent. Yes, it was against lesser competition, but that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to come out and I said, you're supposed to come out and you're supposed to dominate, dominate, dominate. That was the whole goal. You're supposed to dominate. You're supposed to let these people know that you can't compete with us because we're too good for you. However, just like all things, I took some notes and there are some things that I want to comment on. Yes, we are 1-0. Yes, we go play Michigan next week. Yes, I'm going to enjoy this 52-0 win. But there are some things that I wanted to mention because although we won like we were supposed to, there was a couple things I noticed that I just want to mention. Also, before this video starts, hook 'em. So look, what do you want me to say? We looked the part. Colorado State didn't score. Arch Manning got in. The backups got in. All the things I was hoping would happen, happened. I loved the fact that we looked good. So let me just start there. What did I love? So I loved the fact that we looked good. I love the fact that we looked prepared. I love the fact that our secondary didn't scare me. I love the fact that we dominated and showed why we're ranked number 4 in the nation. Some of you will say, it was just Colorado State. It was just, yeah, you're right. So what? We won. Domination is domination. I don't care who you're playing because when you're good, you are supposed to dominate. The other thing is when you're good, you're also supposed to cover spreads. Good teams cover spreads. And we did that. And so Texas won. You can imagine, I don't have anything too crazy to say. I mean, the things I said in the video I created before this, our freshmen got in. They got some playing time. That was amazing to see. Ryan Wingo played earlier than I thought he was going to play. So that shocked me. I love to see that. I loved Arch's no-look pass for a touchdown. I love that the offensive line got a touchdown, although they won't get credit for it. So we looked good. There wasn't anything that I saw where I was like, oh gosh, here we go with this crap. We looked like we were supposed to look. We made Colorado State look like a lesser team, and that is what you're supposed to do. So Texas showed up. I will not get mad at them because they showed up and because they dominated because they were supposed to, and they should get credit for that domination. So I loved everything that I saw. I loved that we looked good. I loved that I didn't know Sark's play calling. Like, I wasn't sure sometimes what he was going to do in play calling, so that was cool. So I just thought collectively it was a good team win. We got our young guys in. Obviously, Arch Manning comes in. Everybody goes crazy. For those people that don't follow Texas football as closely as I do, will act like Arch Manning should be the starter. He should not be the starter. So anyways, I just think it looked good. I think it looked good. I'm excited. We won 52-0. What more can you ask for? Next week we go to Michigan. There's some things that we can tidy up and we can clean up, and I will talk about those next. There are some things that we can tidy up and clean up, and that's fine. That's what you want, right? Week 1, go in, dominate, keep it moving. I believe everybody came out healthy. So listen, we're on to next week. The one thing I really didn't understand, but whatever, is when the depth chart released, there was a couple of guys that I was kind of shocked to see where they were on the depth chart just based off of like things that we were hearing that were coming out of Austin and some things that I thought were going to happen. However, it's not like that big of a deal. Listen, I'm not a coach. Like, what do I know? I don't see these guys every day at practice. So there's a couple of players that confuse me on the depth chart, but overall, like, whatever. It's game 1. I'm not going to get I'm not going to, what is that saying? Like, I'm not going to get like all up in arms about a depth chart when your team wins 52-0 and when the starters are the starters. I was just shocked at how it looked. But you know what? At the end of the day, we won the game. We're going to keep it moving. So it's kind of funny because in a 52-0 game, you're like, what is it that you could not like? Like, what is it? What are you going to complain about? So the first thing I'm going to complain about is the early penalties. When we started the game a little slow, and I didn't love that. And so I didn't like the early penalties. I didn't like that we kind of looked a little off balance. But you know what? It's the first game jitters. It is what it is. I just didn't like it. So I'm just calling it out because listen, we won 52-0. Like, I have to add something in here, right? Like, I can't just be like, oh, everything was great. I didn't hate anything. I didn't really love the way that we started. The other thing I didn't really love too is I don't know. One of my knocks on Ewers is that he doesn't use his legs. Like, he stepped up in the pocket, which usually he doesn't do, but he stepped up in the pocket when I was like, oh my God, he's going to step up in the pocket and he's going to run. He steps up in the pocket and then he didn't run. So that was what it was. So I didn't love that. So that's going down as the things that I hate. Like I said before, listen, when your team wins like we won, like, what do you want me to come up here and say? Like, I hated the way the crowd cheered. I hated how hot it was. Like, all that stuff doesn't matter. So overall, there's not really much that I hated except for Quinn. I want Ewers to step up more in the pocket. And I also want us to be ready to go when the game starts and not have a slow start. It's actually interesting, though, because last year we didn't start slow, but maybe the starting slow is because Ewers has all new receivers, and it's just like him getting in his groove. So it's fine. It is what it is. If I have to nitpick at something, that is the thing I'm going to nitpick on. So my random thing, the commercials, I don't know. I feel like the commercials, it's not like that on other games. Like, I am watching all these games and the commercial issue doesn't happen like this. I just felt like there's so many commercials. So maybe certain games, I'm assuming certain games are like a higher commercial buy or whatever. So maybe that's why the commercials are longer. But I just felt like there were times where I was like, what happened? What happened when they were there? Like, I forgot what happened because it's been so long. And so I don't know why we're getting long commercials, but here we are, we're getting long commercials. The second thing I will say too is I still have only seen Shedeur Sanders be interviewed at halftime. He's the only player that I have seen being interviewed at halftime. So if you are watching this and you saw somebody else other than Shedeur get interviewed at halftime, like, please let me know. Because at this point, I'm going to tweet at Shedeur and see if he'll answer like he's going to answer me. But I honestly want to know, like, did they set that up with you? Like, why is Shedeur Sanders the only person getting interviewed at halftime? And if I remember correctly, I think Colorado was losing to North Dakota State at halftime, but they still interviewed him. And so I haven't seen any other players get interviewed at halftime. So I think it's weird. I think it's new. It was different. And I'm just curious if Shedeur knew they were going to interview him, because I just haven't seen it since it happened to Shedeur Sanders. And listen, I know this video is about Texas, but shout out to Shedeur Sanders, because he's Shedeur Sanders, and it begs the question again. Like, you say this team isn't relevant and all these things, but like, he's the only guy getting interviewed at halftime. So anyways, just throwing that out there. The last thing I'll say, that a random thing that I hate that college football has so many images they want to throw up. They want to throw up the next game. They want to throw up this. They want to show the audience. They want to show the mascot. They want to show the band. They want to show shoes. They want to show the field. Am I the only person that wants to see who's running in and out, that wants to see what packages are out there, that wants to see what's going on? It's like, I think there's so much like commercialization going on and all these like random there's so many random things going on. There's like so much commercial stuff happening. It's like, pretty image here, pretty thing here, zoom in here. And it's like, can we see the field? Like, I want to see the field. I want to see who's in there. I want to see how we're rotating. Like, I just want to see what the field looks like. So that was one of my random things. But listen, overall, Texas won the game. Hook 'em. Heard the fight song a ton. Arch Manning got in, got some freshmen in. Everything's fine. Football's back. Everyone's excited. Next week is the week we really get to see what we're made of. And I'm just excited that football is finally back and that we're finally here and that we can talk about new things, because I was getting so tired of talking about the old.
So there's a couple things I'm going to keep my eye on, and I have started to do the outtakes, and maybe I should call this keeping an eye on, but for now I'm just going to call it outtakes. So I am going to keep an eye on our special teams, because I'm just going to keep an eye on it. There's a couple things I saw on our punt team that I'm a little concerned about. Well, not concerned, like, I'm just paying attention to them, so I'll say that. Also, Quinn Ewers, the way he looks in the pocket, he literally looks like there's not guys that are trying to come at him and tackle him and sack him, and he's so calm, and he's so cerebral in the pocket, and so I'm going to continue to watch that, because we all know we play Michigan next week, and yes, I know Texas has one of the best offensive lines in college football, but that's something I'm going to keep an eye out on, because I'm expecting Michigan to give him a little bit more of a challenge, and I hope that he has a little bit more of a sense of urgency, but it also could just be me about something that I'm just paying attention to as I'm watching. The other thing I'll say, and I will say this until they prove to me they can do it, stopping the run. I think Colorado State had over 100 yards rushing, which isn't that big of a deal, because I feel like in trash times, a lot of times it's the backups that are coming in, it's other things happening, and other people are coming in, and so you start to get, stats start to kind of skew, because it's like trash time. Like, Colorado State was never going to win that game, but they're getting all these extra stats, so I don't know if the stat line was actually visible on how well Texas can stop the run or how well they can't stop the run, or if those stats just happened because at the end of the game, in the fourth quarter, really in the third quarter, there was nothing left for them to do but run the ball. But I'm still going to be paying attention to see if Texas can stop the run consistently, because that is something that I've said it from jump that I'm concerned about. Obviously, losing the guys we lost to the NFL, those are some of the concerns. So I'm just throwing it in here, and I'm just saying it in here that I'm still very interested in seeing about if we can stop the run. And then the last thing I will just say, I mentioned it at the top of this, is the slow starts. I hope that Texas isn't one of those teams that starts slow, although I guess it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. So maybe, I don't know. It was just weird for me to see them starting slow, but again, all new receivers, Ewers figuring it out, first home game, it's hot as hell, all the things, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But I just wanted to add these kind of things at the very end, because I didn't really know where to put them, and I like having these outtakes at the very end because I think it's cool. But this is going to be a long season, and I am super excited to watch Texas play Michigan next week, so
Stay tuned with me for the rest of the week. I will release videos like I did last week. I'll have the Texas matchup outlined of what I think. I'll have the Colorado and Nebraska game outlined, however I think. And then stay tuned because I have something cool and special releasing tomorrow that I was able to record. I'm super excited to release it. But before I end this video, I cannot end this video without saying hook 'em and without saying that I'm super proud that Texas showed up and Texas showed who they were. And I just hope that we can continue that as we move forward, because I know next week I think Texas will be in their icy whites. I love Texas in their icy whites. But anyways, thank you for listening to this. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, turn on those notification bells, and I will speak to you soon. As always, hook 'em.